Hello and welcome. My name is Cambell and this is Spiral Up, where we talk about practical things we can use in our everyday lives to improve our experience and to create more of what we want. And today I wanted to talk about helping people and really how far should we go, and is there a point at where helping someone becomes not helping someone? Let's have a talk. Alright guys, how you going? First of all, you'll see I've got my arm. This is just a sling for my arm. I recently had an interaction with a tree, and so yeah, I'm still recovering a little bit from that, but I am okay. That happened 2 weeks ago almost. So I wanted to talk about helping people. This thing that we do, this thing that we're told is the right thing to do. You know, if someone is in trouble, if someone is down, we should be there to help them. And I mean, this is true, of course. But it's the kind of help, I think, that we give, that we need to think about, because if we start doing things for people, then we're disempowering them, we're taking away their power, and we're basically leaving them in the state that is giving them the results that they don't want. And a disclaimer on this video, guys, I do want to make it very clear that what I'm talking about in this video is people that are having issues, with their life and with their direction and their self-confidence and things like this, and people with what we call poor little me syndrome. I'm not talking about people with mental illness, people who are having problems with reality and with connecting with reality, and people who are suicidal. That's a completely different story and requires a completely different approach. So I'm not talking, if people have serious mental problems associating with reality, then you need to contact professionals, your local suicide prevention line. So this video is all about people, people who are just lost, and, people who tend to go into the poor little me syndrome. And obviously this is linked a lot with what is termed as depression. A lot of depression isn't depression. A lot of it is just substance abuse and people not dealing with their issues. And that's what substance abuse is. It keeps pushing off the issue so you don't have to deal with it. And that's the problem that we need to deal with, is we need to get these people to see that they need to get off that merry-go-round of thinking and make a change. And sometimes, like I said, people like this do need to hit rock bottom. But that is a completely different story from people that are having issues with reality. So, yes, I want to make that extremely clear. This is not about people with mental illness and suicide thoughts. And there's so many sayings about this. You shouldn't do for another what they can do for themselves. You should teach a man or woman to fish, rather than giving them a fish, because when they can fish, they can feed themselves. If they rely on someone giving them a fish, they are powerless. So how do we help people? And because, there's many problems in our society today, especially with things like mental illness, drug addiction, and that definitely includes pharmaceuticals, which is probably more of an issue, especially because it's not even talked about, because they say it's illegal. They don't really talk about all these, problems that are coming from pharmaceutical drugs that are aimed at changing, our consciousness and our psyche. And that's probably, a good thing to say, is you probably don't want to mess, with your psyche and consciousness, chemically. You want to do that through thought and energy. But so how do we help people? Because, as I said, if people are asking for help and they always get it, if they always have someone to come and help them, then all they're going to do is stay in that position, stay in that place where they already are. And we do have this word, enabler, people who enable people. So, and this goes on a lot with people who are on drugs and different things. They'll have a friend or a family member who basically supplies them the stuff that's killing them because they think that they're doing them the right thing, because in the moment, in that moment, it seems to, relieve the person. But in the long term, it's just, it's flushing them down the tube. Like they're just going down and down and down. So if this person, this fictitious person, just say they were on alcohol. Now, if they get to a place where, it takes over their life and they, lose their job and all this stuff, which happens so often, they end up homeless and needing help. If you take them in and give them access to alcohol again, then you're not helping them. Of course, we need to support people and we don't want people starving and sleeping on the street. But the way to help people is really with support, and it's the whole sort of tough love. Sometimes you need to give tough love. Sometimes you need to leave people to work stuff out for themselves. And sometimes people need to hit rock bottom before they will actually learn a lesson and before they'll turn around and change their thinking, because this is, it's all to do with thinking. It's all to do with thinking. And we see this, people who spiral down, which is the opposite of what we want to do here. We want to obviously spiral up, but many people are spiraling down. And this is, it's the old vicious circle. So when you have a thought, just like the world is bad, as a general thought, the world is bad. And so this is your paradigm. Now we have a thing in our mind called the reticular activating system, the RAS. And what the RAS does is it points things out to us. So it's like, the best example is when you want to buy a new car, you're driving down the road and suddenly you see this car everywhere, the one that you want to buy. It's suddenly everywhere. Now, are there suddenly all these new cars everywhere? No, they've always been there, but you haven't been conscious of them because you haven't been focused through your reticular activating system. It hasn't been pointing them out to you. And so this is how our mind works. It always proves us right. Okay, so if you think the world is bad, then that's your paradigm. And so your reticular activating system will lock onto things that prove you right, lock onto things that are bad. So you will, lock onto things like, the news and bad news story and, oh my God, the world's so bad, the world's so bad. But the thing is, at the same time, there's a lot of good going on, but you're not seeing it. And so you say to yourself, see, the world is bad, I was right. And then what happens is, that belief becomes stronger, and so more of these things get pointed out to you, and you go, yes, I was right, and it spirals down. This is how it happens. The opposite of, obviously this is how you spiral up as well. If you think the world is good, it will show, your reticular activating system will show you the good in the world. It will point it out to you and put it into your consciousness, and you'll say, yeah, look, the world is good, there's my proof, and then you'll get more proof, and you spiral up. This is it. This is spiraling. This is how we use our thoughts. So obviously when someone is spiraling down, what they need is they need something to stop their thoughts, because they literally, and we have the saying, they're spiraling out of control. And this is what happens with thoughts, is they literally spiral out of control because they have so many thoughts in their mind going around that they can't really consciously focus on one thing at once. And of course, if you've spent, a year or 2 or 5 or 10 proving to yourself that the world is bad, and there's someone there telling you, look, it's not actually that bad, it's very hard to start seeing, because you've got 10 years of, proving to yourself how bad everything is. You're not going to change that in an instant, are you? If someone says, no, the world's good, you're not going to go, oh, okay. You're going to need to then build up the proof in your mind to change that self-image that you've got of the world, because it's all a perspective, right? Everything's perspective, and we get what we give. So what we expect is the energy that we're giving off. And so that's, of course, what comes back to us. So people, who are having issues often Well, always, actually, they always need to hit a point where they are the one that are making the decisions. They have to be the one, or else nothing's changed. If they haven't taken control of their own thoughts, and if they're not the manifestor of the energy that they're giving off and the vibration, then nothing changes. So this is obviously with therapy and things does work. Obviously, the systemized version doesn't, but talking, just being with people is really the way to help them. Obviously, give them a safe place, make them feel safe and comfortable as much as you can. We should, obviously always be helping everyone, but helping is different to enabling. Helping someone to get over things and to move forward is much different to trying to live their life for them, to trying to take over for them. Because the big thing is, what we think is right for them is not right for them. And we need to understand this is what is right for us, what we believe is right for us. So if you believe something's right for you, then it's right for you, but that doesn't mean it's right for anyone else, because we're all different. We all have a different perspective. We all see the world differently. We all process things differently. So, talking to people and helping people and supporting them it's really about helping them see themselves and seeing what's happening and going on and breaking that cycle. Because if we jump in and help them and make everything okay, then they'll just continue that thought cycle. And if the thought cycle's a downward spiral, they will just continue to get worse. They won't get better until at a certain point. Of course, everyone hits rock bottom, and then, there's a lot of people, obviously suicide and things with mental health, and that's what we want to avoid. And ultimately, this all comes down, to what we believe and to what we've been programmed to believe in this culture, in the cult we live in. It's what we've been programmed to believe. And, that the world is bad, that the world is hard, that the world is physical. Don't believe yourself, don't believe your imagination, don't believe your heart. You've got to, step over people to get ahead, all these kind of silly sayings. And a lot of people believe that. And then, of course, the news, they just show all the bad stuff they can, the same story 20 times a day. And so it impacts people and makes them think the world is worse. And so this is the spiral most people are in, is going down. And so, to help people, I suppose, you can't, as I said, you can't tell someone how to change. You can't say, do this. Because as we all know, if someone comes up to you and says, do this, you're just not going to do it. You're going to go out of your way to not do it. So we can't tell people what to do. So what we can do is influence people by the way we act. The way that we, walk forward in life is the best way to influence people. But I find, seed dropping is good, just dropping little bits of information and seeing if people pick up on them, because it all does go into your brain, all these thoughts, and they do, germinate and grow bigger if they make sense to you. What I really wanted to say is there are many people out there that need help, but for us to come in and to try and live their lives for them and to try and sort their problems out for them is not the way to help them. And a lot of people do this, and it does get to go on with ego. A lot of people do it, and that's their persona, is I help people. But I think what we need to do is look at the results. You might think you're helping someone, but what's the result? How did their life change? Are they better? Have they taken on their own personal responsibility and moved on? Because this is what it's all about. As soon as we recognize that we are responsible for ourselves, and along with that we're fine to do that, we have the power to do that, then we're all good. If you find out you're responsible for yourself and everything, but you are not confident in that, then that can obviously be a bad thing. So it's all about understanding who we are, and that the power is inside us, and that this persona we've been given as, a person in society is false. We're not warmongering beings. Humans aren't into war. They're not into hurting people. They're into helping people. There's a difference. You just watch actual people, and it's a much different story than the story we're shown on TV and in movies and all this stuff. Because they're trying to change the perception of who we are, and we can see the result of that in society with all these broken people, people with mental issues, people with substance abuse, everything. So it's all about breaking the cycles. It's all about supporting but not enabling. I'm going to have to go deep. This is really just a light look at this because it's a big topic, and I definitely don't want to sort of act flippantly about it, because it's also a topic that needs to be treated with maturity, because it's a big problem. The main thing is until you can get someone to give you a bit of time and attention, then you really can't do anything. So it's really about, I think the first thing we all need to do is break this habit of I'm helping someone, I'm the one that's going in to help them, because that's really yay me, that's really me. It's got to be about the person. It's got to be more about, how can I help that person? What do they want? What do they need? Maybe not what they want, but what do they need that I can do? And then what were the results of what I did? Because so many people sort of pat themselves on the back. I went around and I did this, and I cleaned their house, or I made them dinner, or I sat there and told them how to change their life for an hour. What was the result of that? This is the thing. And a lot of the time it can just, with people that are down, it can be things like just cleaning the house, mainly so that you're just around them, just as a presence, so that if they want to talk, they can, because you can't force any of this stuff. It's really about time, dropping seeds, letting them know you're there, and waiting for them to ask you the questions, because they have to be ready. It's not about us being ready, it's about them being ready. And as I said before, sometimes people have to go down. They have to, go down and hit that rock bottom. And we have to understand this. In those times, all we can really do is be support. Make sure that they're sort of physically safe and well, as they go through that. Because once they hit the bottom, then, things will change and they can come back up. And this happens all the time. People do change their lives. But unfortunately, humans are stubborn and we don't like to be told things. So most of the time, we need to learn these things for ourselves, and people will go down to that bottom point. So it's good to remember that, and like I said, understand that sometimes that's just out of your hands and you can't do it, and they need to go through it, because ultimately this is just an experience, guys. Death doesn't exist. We are all eternal spiritual beings. We're just having a physical experience. So ultimately, in the big picture, even if someone dies, which of course we don't want that to happen, but even in the worst circumstances, they don't really die. This is just the dream. This is just a lesson. And if they don't learn it, they get to come back and do it all again. So yeah, we really need to let people walk their own path and go through their own, deal with their own demons, because that's the only way that they can go forward. We cannot ever do it for them. Okay, so thanks for spending some time with me, guys. I hope that helped a bit, made some sense. Please, if you've got any questions, leave them below. Like I said, I will get back onto this topic and go a little bit deeper, because it is a thing that's hard. We're not taught how to deal with these sort of topics and how to deal with people with these kind of issues. We're just not taught. So we've got to rely on empathy in our heart and what's inside, because we do have all the answers. Okay, thank you for joining me again. Have a joyous day, and remember, look inside, guys, because there is greatness in there. All right, talk to you on the next video. Bye for now.